Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, Vecna, Eve of Ruin, and I want to talk about Sanctum and Sigil, which is two concepts that were introduced with Illustrial Silverhand and what it means for changes for our current Dungeons and Dragons game. That's if you're and those changes are applicable if you're running Dungeons and Dragons or if you're running Lego Dungeons and Dragons. I think this would be applicable to Lego narrative builders, and I think this would be applicable to D&D Canon to that's interesting. We're going to need kind of a new term for dungeon masters who run without Lego, I think, going forward. I don't think we have that language yet, but that's okay. All right, so let's talk about this Vecna, Eve of Ruin, right? And Illustrial Silverhand's Sanctum and Sigil. All right, so Illustrial Silverhand is one of the three most powerful wizards in all of the Dungeons and Dragons realms, right? Which spans many worlds, many intellectual properties now, and is without a doubt the most expansive intellectual property that's ever existed in human history. So Illustrial Silverhand is this incredibly powerful wizard, and she finds out that Vecna is creating a reality bomb that he will use to remap all of the Dungeons and Dragons realms, right? Like and completely change these worlds fundamentally at their base. Right? Like this is a massive change, right? Really fundamental change, right? So Illustrial Silverhand, she immediately is like, oh man, I don't know if I could take Vecna, so I'm going to call to my Sanctum and Sigil. And they announced this on the official Dungeons and Dragons channel when they talked about Vecna, Eve of Ruin, that Illustrial Silverhand calls to her Sanctum and her Sigil. She calls Canon, and she calls Tasha, right? What is her Sanctum and her Sigil? Well, her Sanctum is the Wizard's Tower, and in Lego Dungeons and Dragons, we just literally got a Wizard's Tower, right? So this is like their high level play. Our adventurers should have fortresses. They should have followers, right? They're not just hacking everything down with their own sword anymore, right? And if you're still doing that, you're doing Dungeons and Dragons wrong, right? So every Dungeons and Dragons canon hardback and every Lego Dungeons and Dragons brickback invites, right? Invites changes to the structure of how you proceed with Dungeons and Dragons. And so this is saying, hey, if your wizards are 12th level or above, you should have a Sanctum and you should have a Sigil. So you should have essentially a wizard's reserve, right? A tower, a place where you have books, a place where you have lots of reagents, a place where you might have an apprentice, right, who's keeping things ready for you. And at this point, you have spell books, right? You have libraries, right? And so you should have this Sanctum, right? And it's saying to us, 12th level and up, man, you need to really start, because I think a lot of dungeon masters are still generally like, oh, you got this, now you got wish spell. And at this point, the interaction part comes in, right? And you need to be dealing with these much more robust levels of play, right? The Sigil, she has an arcane mark, right? It is her own unique arcane mark, right? And wherever she puts it, Illustrial Silverhands, it's going to be known, and she should be known across multiple realms. And we need to start changing how we're playing so that levels 12 through 20 are not just ramping up your spell abilities and working on your subclasses, but working on your wizard's tower, right? Your Sanctum, working on you being known across many realms, right? And so Sanctum and Sigil is an invitation to higher level play, unique play that is fundamentally superior and better, right? Like, you know, it's really quite interesting, and a fundamental change in how we approach Dungeons and Dragons. And to be clear, she's calling, you know, Illustrial Silverhand is calling Tasha and Mordenkainen, but they have their own unique sanctums, their own unique sigils, right? And then we have to map this across all the core four. Like, you know, wizards have sanctums and a sigil. What do rogues have? What do fighters have? What do clerics have? And they should have both. They should have an analog to both of these things. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.